Mallory Quigley, who works for the Susan B. Anthony List organization, whose mission is to end abortions, and Erin Matson, who is a co-founder of Reproaction, which works to increase access to abortion and advance reproductive justice in the United States. Thank you very much indeed, both of you, for joining us. Mallory, I'll start with you. You'll have no doubt been paying very close attention to everything that was said in those opening arguments, those opening statements today. Conservative justices certainly seem to be signalling their support for overturning the Roe ruling. Is that what you took from today's events?
Thanks. Yes, we were very encouraged by the oral arguments and the questions that the justices had, and the Chief Justice Roberts acknowledging that the United States is really an international outlier when it comes to abortion, that our laws here in the United States are more in line with China and North Korea in allowing abortion on demand up until the moment of birth. You juxtapose that with our allies in Western Europe, where 47 out of 50 European countries limit abortion before or at 15 weeks. In fact, most places it's 12 and 13 weeks. So our law is very extreme here. That's because of Roe versus Wade, and we are hoping that the court will ultimately take the handcuffs off the states and allow them to pass laws that reflect the values of the people that live there.
Erin, your reaction then to what you've just heard from Mallory and indeed from today's opening arguments. Are you concerned that they will not want to stop at 15 weeks, that they will want to go to 6 weeks, such as proposed in Texas?
Yes, well, we heard a number of falsehoods and misleading statements from Mallory. Specifically, we know that abortion is much more available in other countries earlier in pregnancy than it is in the United States. We're desperately concerned about what happened at the court today. It's a devastating moment for gender equality and racial equality in this country. For more than 50 years, the anti-abortion movement has sought this power play where they can overturn Roe v. Wade. And this is not about a 15-week ban. This is not about a 6-week ban. This is about banning abortion entirely. And this is about sending more women and people with capacity for pregnancy to jail.
Yeah, your reaction to that then, Mallory, because clearly this has the impact on so many women in the United States, or potential impact. And this is a precedent that's been deemed acceptable and has been reinforced for almost 50 years, but tens of millions of women may be forced to take matters into their own hands, and the implications that could lead to.
Yeah, I would reject the assertion that abortion is not available early in pregnancy. I witnessed women take abortion pills outside of the Supreme Court today. So abortion is very accessible. And we heard at the top of the segment a pro-life woman speaking. We know so much more about unborn children and what's happening in the womb than we did in 1973, when viability was considered to be about 28 weeks. Now it's considered to be 21, 22 weeks. And that's because of the advances that we've seen in science and medicine and the ability to treat unborn children as a second patient. And this is a beautiful development. I don't think that we want to regress in this country. And Erin's right that we want to see all life protected in this country. If the court overturns Roe, the states will have the ability to debate and use the democratic process to find consensus where it exists in every state. Abortion's not gonna disappear overnight. There's gonna be a really robust democratic conversation and a cultural change. Let's not forget that a majority of women consider themselves to be pro-life, and there are pro-life leaders in Congress, in the United States Congress, and in state legislatures across the country that want the right to represent their constituents, people that elected them, and to pass pro-life laws. So, yeah, it's not this. A lot of the questions and some of the packaging, I'm looking at the images that you're showing up on screen right now, don't seem to be representing the fact that pro-life women outnumbered pro-abortion women about 3 to 1 outside the court today. And there is a growing pro-life American majority.
Well, we are doing our best to present a fair and accurate representation of what both sides were standing for outside the court today. Erin, I saw you shaking your head there. Feel free to come back in.
Yeah, that was just that. The fact of the matter is that America, of all genders, is overwhelmingly pro-choice and supports the right to abortion and vehemently opposes overturning Roe v. Wade. In fact, it's only about 1 in 5 people in this country supports the Susan B. Anthony List big pro-life agenda of overturning abortion and the right to abortion and criminalizing it. And I'd like to note that Mallory did not really answer the question about people being criminalized. Our colleagues at the National Advocates for Pregnant Women have documented more than 1,200 arrests of women in the United States for pregnancy-related issues, and that is exactly where we're headed today. You know, we had Purvi Patel, who was actually charged and convicted of a felony for self-managing an abortion with pills. That is a human rights violation. She was ultimately pardoned and released. That is what we're going to see much more of. It will not just be for abortion. It is also for miscarriage. It is for behavior during pregnancy. No one is safe until abortion is available for everyone.
Mallory, I wonder how you would react to the idea that isn't the fundamental principle here that a woman has a right to her own body and has a right to make decisions regarding her privacy and indeed her body. And this is something that is at stake that many people will feel the right that they should be able to fight for and not have that taken away from them. An awful lot of people, tens of millions, as I mentioned before.
Yes, tens of millions also support the right to life of the unborn. And when you think about the advances in being able to treat children with genetic abnormalities and negative prenatal diagnoses in the womb, we're treating babies with cystic fibrosis in the womb. They are being seen in these NICUs as a second patient. So I agree that a woman has a right to her own body and to her privacy, but we can't ignore the reality, the scientific reality, that there is a separate and distinct human being with a unique DNA, often sometimes a different gender than the mother, that is at risk in every abortion. It's never, ever been a legislative proposal of the pro-life movement that women should be criminalized. In fact, it has always been, the focus has always been on prosecution of the abortionist, the person who is benefiting financially from the taking of an innocent human life, the wounding of a mother. So with all due respect to Erin, we have to acknowledge that there are two different points of view here. And my point of view, and I'm representing also millions of Americans who believe in the right to life of the unborn and who want to come alongside women and their children to support them. You can't just wish that away. That we were there outside the Supreme Court today representing those who don't have a voice, but about whom we know so much more than we did in 1973, like the woman at the top of the segment was saying. They're developing fingers and toes. Their heartbeats pumping blood through their tiny bodies. At 15 weeks, they're sucking their right or left thumb, so showing a preference for which hand they're going to be. They're responding to.
Mallory, we're running out of time here, so I'm going to have to jump in. I do want to give Erin the right to reply to that. Erin,
Sure.
The question was about the fundamental principle of a woman's right to make her own choices, and I suppose you would argue this is a fundamental human right.
It is. Abortion access is a fundamental human right. This is an issue of gender equality. This is an issue of racial justice. And this is an issue about who we are as a people. And so I think it's absolutely critical that we not criminalize abortion, that we increase access to abortion. And let me be clear, I'm a mother of a young daughter. I love her so much. I am so scared for her generation and what is going to happen to them if people who would criminalize abortion will have their way.
Okay, Erin Matson, we thank you very much indeed. And Mallory Quigley there, thank you very much both for joining us from Washington, D.C., an argument that is set to go on for many months until June next year at the earliest.